Congratulations, you've just found the number one over 50 health and wellness podcast on the planet. Hello, and welcome to the Over 50 Health and Wellness Show. I'm your host, Kevin English. I'm a healthy aging expert and the founder of The Silver Edge, and I am on a mission to help men and women just like you build lean, strong, healthy, amazing, capable bodies they love for the rest of their lives. All right, folks, before we jump into today's episode, if you're over 50 and you're feeling stuck or frustrated and you want a clear plan, then I invite you to book a free Silver Edge Clarity Call with me. I will throw a link to that into the show notes. All right, folks, here we go. If you have ever been promised a dramatic fat loss in 10 days or a total reset in 14 days, or one of my personal favorites, I just saw this recently, shred your metabolism in one weekend. Congratulations, because you, my friend, have been marketed to. And listen, if your metabolism became sluggish overnight, I would absolutely be on board with fixing it in a week or two. But it didn't. We're adults now. And here's the truth that nobody wants to say out loud. But if it took years to slow your metabolism down, it ain't coming back in a juice cleanse, in a prayer, in a 2-week time frame. It just isn't. And actually, that's good news because real change doesn't require punishment. It requires time and the right signals. That's why today we're going to talk about what you do for the next 90 days. Not because it sounds sexy, because admittedly it's not. Not because it makes a nice 15-second social media reel, but because biologically, physiologically, practically, 90 days is where we really see the magic happen. Or let me back up. 90 days is where we really see the magic begin to happen. So this is long enough for your body to begin to adapt. It's long enough for you to rebuild a little bit of muscle, and it's long enough for you to improve energy, recovery, and confidence. But it's short enough that you don't have to rearrange your life, quit your job, and eat chicken breast and broccoli out of Tupperware for the rest of your life. So in this episode, what I want to do is I want to walk you through exactly how to rebuild a sluggish metabolism over the next 90 days without crash dieting, without crazy endless cardio, and without pretending like you're 25 again. This is not a hype plan. This is a grown-up plan. And if your goal is to feel strong and energized and capable again and not just lighter on the scale, then you're in the right place. So whip up your protein smoothies, folks, and let's get into this. All right, so before we talk about fixing a sluggish metabolism, we need to be clear on, I guess, what exactly that means. Because most people hear sluggish metabolism and they picture something horrific or dramatic, like their body is just shutting down. But that's not really what's happening. A sluggish metabolism usually shows up like this. You're doing the quote-unquote right things, but progress feels painfully slow. Fat loss stalls. Energy is inconsistent, to say the least. Workouts feel harder than they should. Recovery takes longer. And no matter how disciplined you are, your body just doesn't respond the way it used to. Anybody feel me on that? You might even say things like, I don't even eat that much. I work out more than most people my age. I used to be able to lose weight just by tightening things up. Yeah, that's a sluggish metabolism. Welcome to the show here. It's not broken. It's not dead. It's just underperforming. Now, let's talk about what it's not, because this is sometimes where people get a bit off the rails here. A sluggish metabolism is not a hormone curse. Yes, hormones change with age. No, they are not a life sentence. It's also not bad genetics. Unless your family passed down some sort of rare condition, which they probably didn't, genetics explain a tiny fraction of what most people are experiencing at this stage of our life. And it's definitely not just because you're getting older and because you're over 50, over 60, over 70, whatever it is for you. I see people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, even 80s rebuilding muscle, increasing energy, and losing fat all the time. And it's not because they're particularly special, but because they're finally sending their body the right signals. So here's the real definition. A sluggish metabolism is a system that's been trained to conserve, not perform. I'm going to say that again. I like that. A sluggish metabolism is a system that is trained to conserve, not to perform. Basically, it's a body that's adapted to too little muscle stimulus, too little fuel, too much stress, and years of crazy inconsistent signals. So your body isn't lazy, it's just cautious. And once you understand that, you stop blaming your age and you start focusing on retraining the system. Because look, systems 100% absolutely can change. And here's where a lot of people get tripped up. They intellectually understand that their metabolism didn't slow down overnight, but emotionally, they still want results by next Tuesday. And look, I get it. We live in a world of Amazon Prime same-day delivery and overnight shipping and instant results for everything. Unfortunately, your metabolism did not get that memo. Your body doesn't respond to urgency. Or actually, it does respond to urgency, just not in the way you want it to. But it does respond to consistency over time. And that's why I think 90 days matters. 90 days is long enough for your body to start believing you. It's long enough for your nervous system to adapt. It's long enough for your muscle building signals to start to compound and for your recovery to improve, for your hormones to stabilize, and for habits to stop feeling like work and start feeling like normal. Think of it like trust. If you spent years dieting and overdoing cardio and undereating and stressing your body out, your body doesn't immediately say, oh, cool, we're lifting weights now. Let's burn some fat. It says, hey, let's see if this sticks. And 90 days is how you prove that it does. This is also why most short-term, or let me back up, this is why all short-term fixes end up backfiring. These 10-day cleanses, 14-day challenges, these 30 days to shred type programs, sure, they might be great for 20-year-olds, not so much for those of us over 50. These kinds of programs tend to create a temporary drop on the scale, mostly from water and glycogen and basically your soul, but they don't change the system. They just add more noise. And 90 days is different. It's enough time to build momentum without burning out. It's enough time to see real measurable changes, not just scale fluctuations. And it's enough time to actually feel different, like more energy, better workouts, improved recovery, maybe even your clothes fitting a little bit differently. And this is where people start saying, okay, something's actually happening. And once that happens, fat loss stops feeling like a fight. It starts feeling like a byproduct because bodies change fast, but systems take time. And when you respect the timeline, the results start to finally stick. So let's talk about how to stop the bleeding and reset some signals here, some metabolic signals. So your first 30 days are not about fat loss. That's the bad news. Let me say that again because this is where people usually freak out. Phase 1 is not about fat loss. It's about stopping the metabolic bleeding and resetting the signals that your body is responding to. So most people come into this first 30-day phase with a lot of chaos, like random workouts, if any at all, inconsistent eating, off and on dieting, poor sleep, high stress, and then they wonder why their body feels confused. So phase 1 has one primary goal, and that is to create stability, create predictability for your body. You want to tell your body, hey, you're safe now. You don't need to panic. And here's what that would look like. So first up, we have strength training becomes non-negotiable. Not 7 days a week, not 2-hour marathon workouts, but consistent, intelligent resistance training. Usually 3 days a week of full body. That's perfect, and that sends a clear signal, and that's this: muscle matters. This alone starts reversing years of decline. And no, it's not going to bulk you up, but it will give your body a reason to turn the engine back on. Number 2, I want you to establish a protein floor. Most people over 50 are dramatically under eating protein. In phase 1, we're not obsessing over calories, we're establishing a minimum. So protein is going to support muscle retention, it's going to support recovery, blood sugar stability, and appetite control. So think of protein as construction material. You can't rebuild without it. Number 3, we're going to normalize daily movement. Now, this is not cardio boot camp. This is simple, consistent movement. It's like walking or light activity, going for a bike ride, just getting out of your chair a little more often. We're teaching your body that movement is part of daily life again, not something that you cram in to burn calories. All right, number 4. Sleep and stress come out of the nice to have category. You don't need perfect sleep, but you do need better sleep. Even small improvements here dramatically improve recovery and energy because a stressed, underslept body does not burn fat. It clings to it. It protects it. So here's the magic of phase 1. Sometimes the scale doesn't move much, and that's okay. What does change and what we're looking for wins here are energy and strength and consistency and confidence. People in this phase often say, I feel better even though I don't see much movement on the scale yet. And look, to be clear, that's not failure. That's the system waking up. phase one is not flashy. It is foundational. And without it, everything else is going to collapse and become so much harder. All right, so that's your phase one. So phase two, we're going to say this is days 31 to 60. It's time to build the engine. And this is the phase where things start to get fun because by now your body has stopped panicking. Hopefully we've pulled you out of metabolic panic mode and your body's starting to trust you again. You're not crash dieting. You're not randomly exercising. You're showing up consistently. And once that trust is established, now we can start to build the engine. Phase two is about capacity, not grinding harder, not doing more for the sake of doing more, but teaching your body that it can handle and even benefit from a little higher output. So first up here we have for you guys is progressive overload or progressive strength training. In phase two, strength becomes more intentional. You're no longer just working out, you're getting stronger. So you need slightly more resistance, maybe a few more reps, better movement quality. And these small progressions matter. They matter a lot because every time you get stronger, you're sending a powerful metabolic message that says, hey, we need this muscle. Let's build it. Let's keep it. Let's preserve it. And your body's going to listen. Next up, you've got to fuel to perform. And yeah, this includes some carbs, guys. And here's where people usually do a double take. In phase two, many people actually start eating more, not less. Now, this is strategically. If you're an OG listener to this podcast, you know we've talked a ton about reverse dieting and metabolic restoration. You're probably familiar with this. If you're new to this podcast, yeah, in phase two, or even in phase one, you may start eating more, not less food. Yes, I'm talking to those of you that are trying to lose fat. And here's the reason, because underfueling a rebuilding system is like trying to upgrade an engine while cutting the power. So we're going to bring some carbohydrates back in, especially around our training to support performance and recovery. Not talking about sugar binges, not chaos, just purposeful fuel. And this is often where we start to see energy skyrocket. People start saying things like, I don't feel like I'm going to crash at 3 o'clock in the afternoon anymore, or my workouts actually feel good. I feel capable again. And this is the engine coming online. All right, number 3 in this phase, we want to see some work capacity improving. So you're able to do more work without feeling destroyed. So your recovery gets better. Soreness doesn't linger as long. You feel more athletic, even if you haven't used that word in years, perhaps even decades. And here's an important part. Fat loss might still be subtle here, but body composition is changing. Muscle is increasing. Clothes start fitting differently. Posture is improving. Confidence creeps back in. Maybe that achy knee or back or hip or shoulder starts to feel better all of a sudden. And this is where we hear people say, hey, look, again, I haven't seen the scale change that much, but I know something is happening. And they're right. Because in phase 2, this is where the engine is built. And once the engine is strong, then we can decide how fast we want to drive it. And that comes up in phase 3. So let's talk about phase 3. This is going to be our days 60 to 90 here, I guess 61 to 90. We want to convert capacity into fat loss. So this is the phase everyone thinks they want to start with. And this is the phase that most people start with, right? If we want to lose weight, we jump immediately into a crash diet and maybe throwing on some more cardio. But now you understand why we don't. Because by day 60, your body isn't fighting you anymore. At least it's not fighting you as much anymore. Now it feels fueled. It feels stronger. It's recovering better. And most importantly, it's trusting this new process, this new normal. So phase 3 is where we convert capacity into fat loss. Not through panic, not through starvation, but through precision. So got a few steps for you here for stage 3. First up, strategic calorie control, not chronic restriction. 2 different things. We're not crash dieting here. This is not eat as little as possible and hope for the best white knuckle diet strategy. This is small, intentional adjustments. Sometimes it's maybe some light calorie cycling, but it's usually just the slight tightening of food choices. And it's just being more consistent with a small, subtle calorie deficit. Because when your metabolism is functioning well, you don't need extremes. Your body is already primed at this point to start to use stored fuel, aka fat. Step number 2 here in phase 3 is fat loss becomes the side effect. So here's what surprises people. Fat loss doesn't feel hard here. Your energy should stay high, your workouts should stay strong, and hunger should be manageable. And instead of obsessing over the scale, people start noticing leaner arms, a tighter waist, better muscle definition, clothes fitting the way they used to. And that's what we call body recomposition. This is not weight loss theater. And I say this all the time. If I could take 5 pounds of fat off your body and put 5 pounds of muscle on your body, I can promise you that people who haven't seen you in a while will go, "Oh my God, what are you doing? How much weight have you lost?" When in reality, of course, you've lost 0 weight. But you have recomposition. You have lost 5 pounds of fat and gained 5 pounds of muscle. And I can promise you are going to look and feel and perform much better with that new body composition. All right, so action item number 3 in our third phase here is we want confidence to replace frustration. So by this point, something important should have shifted for you. You're no longer asking, is this going to work? You've trusted the process here for 90 days and you're thinking, okay, this is working. I like this. That confidence is going to change your behavior. So you'll stop bouncing between plans. You're going to stop chasing the next shiny object, and you're going to trust your body again. And here's the most important part. At the end of 90 days, you're not quote unquote done. You're positioned. You're in an ideal position. You're positioned to continue fat loss if you want, maintain with ease, or set some new performance goals, because now you're operating from strength, not from desperation. So think of it this way. Phase 3 is not about finishing or being completed or being done. It's about proving to yourself that your metabolism was never broken. It just needed the right timeline and the right signals. Okay, so let's switch gears here. Let's talk about what derails most people and why they fail going this alone. Because here's the part that I don't think it's talked about enough. Most people don't fail because their plan is horrible. They fail because patience is hard and accountability is rare. Here are the things that usually derail people, even smart, motivated people. I've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5 things here that I think derail a lot of us. Number 1, and this is the big one, they diet too early. This really is number 1 for a reason. People just come out swinging. The first thing they're going to do is drop those calories. So they start cutting calories in phase 1 because they're impatient. They want the scale to move now. And the body responds by doing what it always does when it's under stress. It slows down. Energy is going to drop. Workouts are going to suffer if you're even doing them. And recovery is going to tank. And your body's going to cling to fat. So people conclude, see, my metabolism really is broken, or there's something wrong with me. There's nothing wrong with you. Your metabolism's not quote unquote broken. It was just rushed. All right. Reason number 2, they skip strength and they chase cardio. So I say this one a lot. Cardio feels so productive. You're sweaty. It feels hard and it's comfortably familiar for a lot of us. But strength training requires intention. It requires progression and it requires patience. And that's where people sort of fall off. But skipping strength training is like trying to improve gas mileage by pushing the car downhill. It might move, but nothing's going to get rebuilt. All right, number 3 reason is inconsistency creeps in. One missed workout turns into a missed week, a busy stretch turns into a missed month, and without a system, people don't know how to resume, so they wait for Monday or next month or after things calm down. Spoiler alert, guys, things aren't calming down, okay? All right, number 4 reason. People tend to overcomplicate everything with way too many rules, too many apps, too many plans all at once. Instead of clarity, they just create mental noise. And when something feels overwhelming, people tend to avoid it. It just doesn't last. All right. And then finally, number 5 reason here, they have no outside perspective. And I feel like this is a subtle one. This is a quiet one. When you're doing this alone, you don't know if you're progressing appropriately. You don't know if you're eating too little, too much. You don't know if you're training effectively, or if maybe you're just spinning your wheels. And without feedback, people default to what they've always done, which is usually the very thing that slowed their metabolism in the first place. So this isn't about willpower. It's about guidance. It's about a plan that works. And most people don't fail the plan, but they do fail alone. So let's slow this down for a second here. No judgment, no pressure, but I do want you to have an honest check-in with yourself right now. So at this point, ask yourself this. If nothing changed over the next 90 days, would you be okay with that? Would you be okay feeling the same energy, the same strength, the same frustration? Now, a few more questions. I want you to answer these honestly. These are just for you. Do you currently have a 90-day plan? Or do you have good intentions? Because those are two very different things. Are your workouts professionally designed to build muscle or just burn calories and check a box? Are you fueling your body to recover and perform or constantly trying to eat less and hope for the best? When life throws a curveball, a busy week, travel, stress, whatever, do you know exactly how to adjust or do things just tend to fall apart? And here's the big one. Are you confident that what you're doing right now is actually rebuilding your metabolism? Or are you perhaps just doing what you've always done and hoping that this time it works? And look, again, I'm not here to shame anybody. There's no right or wrong answers here. I just want you to meet yourself honestly where you are right now. But I want you to hear this. Clarity changes everything. Because once you see where you are, you can finally decide where to go next. And the next 90 days are going to come one way or the other, right? Whether you're prepared or not. The only question is, what do you want them to build? So let's bring this home here. Here's the bottom line. Rebuilding a sluggish metabolism does not require extremes, but it does require clarity, consistency, and time. And when you give your body the right signals, strength and fuel and recovery, it responds. It responds positively every time, predictably. And look, 90 days isn't magic. It's just long enough to prove something important, that your body still works, that progress is still possible. And the story that you've been telling yourself about, quote unquote, getting older was never the full truth. The problem isn't that people over 50 can't rebuild their metabolism. It's that most people never commit to the plan long enough or structured enough to let that happen. And that's where guidance matters, because knowing what to do is one thing, but implementing it consistently through real life, that's another thing altogether. So if you are listening to this thinking, okay, I kind of would like the next 90 days to actually count, then I'd love to help you. I offer free clarity calls where we look at where you are right now, what's actually slowing your progress, and what a smart, realistic 90-day plan would look like for you. No pressure, no hard sell, just clarity. So if that sounds helpful, you can book your free clarity call using the link in the show notes. You guys can find that in whatever app you're listening to this on, or of course over on our website. Because your metabolism is not broken, your timeline just needs to match reality. And the next 90 days, like I said, they're coming either way. You might as well use them to build something that lasts. Okay, that's our show for today, folks. If you are over 50 and you feel frustrated or stuck and you want a clear plan, book a free clarity call with me. You can find the link to learn more in the show notes for this episode. You guys can find that on whatever app you're listening to this on, or head over to silveredgefitness.com/407. As we wrap up our time together today, you can show your support for this show in two important ways. The first is to tell a friend about this podcast and encourage them to give it a listen. The second is for you YouTube folks to click the like and subscribe buttons, and for you podcast folks to please give this podcast a 5-star review on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on, and be sure to subscribe and follow so you don't miss any future episodes. I really appreciate you spending your time with me today, and until next time, stay strong.